Hello, and welcome to Evolution, the podcast, where we're deep diving into the future of Salesforce and technology. I'm your host, Chad Lieberman, the founder of Future, and each episode, we're going to be exploring the cutting-edge developments that are reshaping the technology landscape today, helping you evolve your skills and business for the future. Whether you're a Salesforce professional, a technology enthusiast, or simply just curious about where the digital world's heading, you're in the right place. We'll be bringing you exclusive interviews from industry leaders, deep dives into emerging trends, and practical insights you can apply into your own technology journey. Let's not just prepare for the future, let's create it. So welcome back to the Evolution podcast. I'm your host, Chad Lieberman, the founder and CEO of Future. I'm back here today with Michael Joo. Welcome back, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited today to talk about the skills gap in the Salesforce ecosystem. There's been such an increase in specialized demand, especially with the rise of new technologies. And we've kind of both felt like companies are having a hard time finding and retaining the right talent to transform their business, but also at the same time, experts are having a hard time finding the right opportunities. So I'm here to talk today to you, Michael. Tell me a bit about this ongoing skills gap and a bit about where we're at in the market today.
Yeah, I think from like our last episode as well, one of the biggest problems is that technology is moving much quicker than the capability and capacity in the ecosystem that's getting built. I don't blame anyone, but I think,
it's hard to keep up.
It is hard to keep up. And there's a lot of resources online, right? Salesforce has like Trailhead, and there's a lot of, push in, creating more people that have knowledge, educating the ecosystem, but it's just not enough, right? Because as we know, both being on the consultant side, we know that the fastest way and the correct way to learn is being on the tools, actually through real implementations. And unfortunately for people out there, if you're not in on the Salesforce partner side or the implementer side, you're not going to have enough knowledge out there of lots of different projects and where it fails.
Yes.
If you're on customer side, you're typically working on one project, right? Which is for your company. So I think
it's not just enough to get a certification or to go through a trailhead. You really need to get your hands on the tools, right?
Right, because something like a Salesforce and any of the enterprise software, it is a complex system, and it should be, because we are solving for complex automations out there. However, companies, there's so many ways that you can build that technology, but really there's only one or two really good ways, like best practices. But unless you've hit that blocker, and unless you've gone down that route, it's hard to know what is the right way. So if you have good people around you that have that experience, you'll be far better off.
So the market's changed a lot. I mean, we've both been in the ecosystem for 13 years. I mean, the skills that you now need, obviously, with the amount of data that companies have, the rise of new technologies is one massive thing. What else has changed, though, in terms of the ecosystem, right? Like, we know that there's a lot more partners out there.
3,000 now.
Oh my gosh. That's and I know you've talked to a lot of them with your new business, Balo. What do you think? How has the market for Salesforce implementation partners changed over the years to be able to support customers?
Yeah. What we have seen is the shift of newer partners being very specialized and niche, right? When I started the journey on the partner side, one of the things that Salesforce really emphasized is become multi-cloud, right? And, everyone was kind of pressured to go out and start. You may have started as a marketing cloud partner, but you've been kind of pressured into going into sales, service, and being cross-cloud, right? Because there was a bit of a shortage of partners back in the days, like to the amount of work that was out there. Now there's a lot more partners, and also partners have realized, instead of being just multi-cloud and just generalists across everything, it's far better off if you specialize in a certain product or an industry and just focusing on that. Because when, for Salesforce or any of the other enterprise software companies and customers, they want to speak to people that are very specialist in that space and that industry as well. So I think that's been one of the things that we've seen change.
Well, there's so many new, Salesforce clouds and capability than it was when we were, 10 years ago, which was very just oriented on sales, service, and marketing. And now it's the industry clouds, education cloud and financial services cloud. And, people want those specialized skills in the industries, but also now we're just seeing a lot of different new horizontal products like being adept with AI and Agentforce and data cloud, new niches like net zero cloud. And there's so many different capabilities now that the ecosystem has just expanded so much.
Yeah, and you talk about that, what's changed, but that's what we've seen with on the customer side who, at some point they started to recruit people in, marketing, service, sales, IT that had digital skills, right? There was a whole boom with all these job descriptions being written that you needed some, experience with platforms and the cloud platforms and so forth. Now it's about AI. But again, I think the problem is that there's not enough capability capacity built out yet. But the expectations, if you look at job descriptions that are out there, companies recruiting, they're asking, hey, we're recruiting someone that has 5 years of experience in AI.
Yeah.
Those people don't really exist. And even if they do, they're going to be very expensive, right?
Yeah.
So I think the expectations from the companies out there, that needs to be aligned to what is actually out there. You rather focus on finding people that are really quick learners. They're really passionate about that space and they believe in, the company that you want to build or the vision that they have and being part of a team that they want to be part of, and the job just comes with it, right?
Yeah. So what would you say from a customer side who's looking to, go through a digital transformation? They oftentimes, what we find is that they don't have the right capacity or the skills that they need to deliver this new technology. So what are kind of the options that they have? And what are some of the kind of current challenges on the customer side, do you think, of getting the right support?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And, it's actually one of the reasons why I started to design and build the Balo business. And
tell me a little bit about Balo, because I've been following the journey. But for the audience who doesn't know about Balo, tell me a little bit about it.
So we are building the 24/7 Salesforce help desk that's powered by the top 1% of experts globally. So imagine a platform that houses the best of the best all across the world in Salesforce in one place.
Yep.
And customers can find and access these people on demand on a pay-as-you-go, by the minute, and start connecting with these talent out there.
Yeah.
Right? So what we're bridging is the gap that I guess the ecosystem has to get ongoing quality support, right?
Well, because the options are maybe you have to go to a big, global partner who, could be quite expensive and hard to contract with, or, some on the other side, some agency that's working on many different customers at once and couldn't get the attention. Is that kind of the middle ground where you're going to kind of meet somewhere in the middle there?
Yeah, a big problem in enterprise software, not just Salesforce themselves, but across the big platforms out there, Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, Google, AWS, and so forth. There's only 4 ways that a customer can actually get that help. Number one, you have your internal team, but typically you don't have the right expertise and it's expensive to hire good talent. Capacity
is a big one.
2, you could go to the vendor and their support team, but typically it's not hands-on support, as you know.
Expensive and not,
it's expensive.
Often find they don't have the consulting, and hands-on support that customers really need there. Yeah,
that's correct. And number 3, you could go to an agency or a specialized partner. but expensive rates, minimum charge out rates, and you need to put contracts in place. So it's at least 3 to 4 weeks before you can get anything started. And the last option is that you go to, a Fiverr or an Upwork, find a freelancer, but you need to verify them. You need to put contracts in place, minimum charge out rate. So,
And you'd want them to be touching your production instance, right?
correct.
No, I'm just kidding.
Correct. That's a big worry, right? So if a customer needs help in the next 30 minutes, it is impossible to get any type of support, actual support, right away. So I really wanted to bridge that gap, right? By creating that platform and allowing customers to be able to be matched and connect with anyone anywhere around the world that has that specialty, whether it's the product specialty, whether it's the industry specialty, whether it's a core skill set that they need or a language that they speak, and be able to connect in minutes. And as soon as the call starts, that's what you're paying for.
So it's on demand, and it's more specialized, which is really important when we've talked about the expanding skill sets and specialists, I'd say, needed. What other kind of big benefits do customers, who would use this or get?
Yeah, it's one of the things that we've seen with speaking with a lot of customers of
you spoke to with when creating this platform, 100 customers?
Yeah, over 100 customers now all across the world, and everyone has the same problem.
What are the big problems that customers have with, when it comes to talent, retaining and finding the right people?
Yeah, the biggest has to be people. They need good people, skilled people, but it's hard to find good talent out there. It's hard to retain them because once they get some, good skills, they get snatched up by another company or another Salesforce partner. They are expensive as well, right? These days, the more niche it is, they're expensive to hire.
Yeah.
And then if you look on the expert side, they don't typically like to just be locked in one place. They would rather work on lots of different new initiatives to keep up with their own learning. And that's why I do think a lot of people out there, they do decide to go into the partner world or set up their own agency like yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to take all of that learning that you've had over the years and lots of projects and help so many other companies go down that same path.
100%. Yeah. That's the whole reason why I started Future. I worked in the big partner landscape for 12 years. And what was good about that was it attracted me to a lot of opportunities to work on really great programs of work that were very innovative. But also, I wanted to find my niche in building something very focused on helping customers unify their data and leverage AI to drive their business. And, that's really important to gain these new help companies evolve their processes, their people with these new specialized skill sets. And so I've had to find my niche, even though I've had a lot of different experiences, but where I want to be working on and where I want to be helping people.
And how are you finding it? I guess you've just embarked on this new journey to build your own practice. What are some of the challenges that you've been facing?
It's been really exciting. We've just launched in August. As you would probably imagine, starting a business, there's so many things to do. How do you prioritize all the things that you have going on? But I do think one of the challenges is how are you getting connected into the right opportunities? It's a lot of work on the lead management. Trying to find the right prospects, talking with Salesforce, talking with customers, building the networking side of things. I think it's really takes a lot of work to find the right opportunities, right?
And it takes a long time to get that started as well, because there's a lot of there's a process in place. The bigger that you are, there's this procurement process where you have to go through a due diligence process and submit, do presentations. there's a lot of that as well, right?
Oh my God. I mean, the just the fact of, I think the way our industry works around responding to proposals and all of the work that goes into just going to a contract.
Yeah.
It's robust, it's extensive. So it's not even just finding the right opportunities, it's then actually getting into contracting is often difficult. As a smaller
Yeah.
partner starting off.
So that's kind of like, when you ask, like, what are the options out there? Like,
Yeah.
there's only really two, I say, vehicles of getting support, right? Typically. So you and customers have, and it's what agencies and experts out there offer, right? It's you either offer a project, which is a scope of work with deliverables, and you agree on a price and you deliver that project, or it's managed services, right? You have an ongoing fee and you manage, support for every month over a duration of time. So really, from an agency side, that's the only two products that they offer, and for the customer side, that's the only options that they have. So I saw that gap because I wanted to create the third product out there, which was micro consultation, on demand support during, before and after, those projects, right?
Yeah.
Because what we heard from speaking with Salesforce partners and a lot of the founders out there was less than 20% of customers that they do implementations move from one project straight to the next project or managed services.
Yeah.
Right. And as I know from running a Salesforce partner before, you actually make nearly zero money on that first implementation because you spend a lot of time in pre-sales, you spend a lot of time winning a project. That's a lot of non-billable time. You win the project, but really where you make your margin and your money is actually that ongoing relationship there. But companies, they have a friction because once they do that first project, they have to either submit for a new project internally, ask for the budget. So there's that delay, but there's always a need. So that's what we're fixing. Our platform's going to allow customers to be connected with experts constantly between projects.
Yeah. I mean, I've been through many times where I've sold and delivered a 8 to 12 week proof of concept, and then it's by the time we're done with the project, we're getting towards the end, and we're just focused on delivering it, right? And then we haven't, even thought about how we contract or move forward with phase 2 or phase 3. So it's always obviously very important to start with, okay, what is just beyond this 8 to 12 week concept? One of the things I've learned is to help build a 9 to 12 month roadmap. And then here's where we're starting, setting the long-term vision. But I mean, I think for me as a small business, it's not only just about the lead, managing all the leads and contracting, but it's also just the supply and demand as a partner, right? Like that's one of the biggest challenges they have is you oftentimes just want to be, you want to have more demand that you're able, versus the supply that you have. You always want to be teetering on the edge of like, we might not be able to deliver this because we don't have all the people we need. That's a healthy actually spot to be in because, you just don't want to be in a spot where, you're completely understaffed or completely over, under.
But
so
the people are out there, right?
Yeah.
Salesforce reports they've got 20 million trailblazers out there, right? That's a lot of people. You've got over 150,000 companies that use Salesforce globally, and 74% is small business, right? So there's a huge number of customers. There's a huge number of people out there.
Yeah.
Why are they saying that they can't find people? They just don't have a platform to be connected, right?
Yeah.
They're out there,
Yeah.
right? And they could be just on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
But how do I find these people? How do I how do I connect with them and also pay for their time and their experience, whether it's strategic advice, whether it's technical support, whether it's training? Like they're out there, and that's what customers want. And that's why, that's what really started my journey in solving that problem, bridging that gap with the Balo platform. That's really why I started it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like what we see out there is just, like you're almost like getting into that big middle ground where there is a lot of people out there. At the same time, Salesforce is, the need for Salesforce skills and the demand has gone up. I think the numbers were right now, it's like 15 billion to 35 billion by 2030.
And that's just the services
And just in services,
in
right?
Salesforce.
And so it's the growth is there, the people are there, but the problem is actually, on one side you have this, big, global partners. The other side you have these agencies. It's just how do you actually connect the right people with the right opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely right. And the who are these people out there? Who are the experts? They are people that are on Salesforce partner side and agency side. They are people that have gone freelance. They've started, their own company, or they've embarked on the freelancing side of the fence. And they're people on customer side, right? And bringing together all of them into the one place so they can actually support more customers out there. For agencies and, for experts out there, and, like yourself, I've been speaking to a lot of people, and there's one metric that runs the business, which is utilization,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Billable versus a non-billable
Yeah.
utilization. If
Yeah.
non-billable goes up, then you're finding ways to get out of that, right? Which we've seen with big system integrators, a lot of people being cut, right? It's because there is not enough billable work. So they struggle in that front. They also struggle with, from the first project into the second project, that, not moving from one to the other straight away. So there's a lot of challenges that I guess experts and agencies face. So, I guess one of the things that we did want to solve was allow a platform they can allow the experts to be on the platform, have flexible hours, they can turn on, turn off, they can manage their diary on the platform, and whenever they're available and whenever they have spare time, people can connect with them, they can have that conversation, they can get paid for that time, so it becomes, you're changing non-billable time to billable time, and then hopefully that turns into bigger projects. Right? The platform's not designed to do a 6-month implementation project, right? But it is the bridge for you to create a good relationship and go to the next project.
What would be some of those kind of more niche, immediate problems that a customer would want to jump on Balo to connect with an expert on? Like, and I'm sure as Balo gets launched, and you'll understand more about the analytics and reporting of what are the big issues.
Yeah.
Which could be in itself great information, but just talking to customers, like what are actually customers facing right now immediately?
Some of the customers, and actually most of the customers, they just want more things done inside Salesforce, right? And even to those salespeople on the road, that is a Salesforce user, because they run the business on Salesforce, but they need things done. And the only way that they get, asked for requests is you raise a case, it goes into a queue, and IT's waiting, to put it into the queue, and someone's building it. It's weeks, right? Imagine salespeople can just jump on into the platform, and the expert on the other side is just guiding them through how they can build it themselves without having the need to wait for internal members to come on board. So, I think speaking with customers, most of them want to just get more things done, but they just don't have the people, the capability or capacity internally, and they just need to, get more of that done, right?
So we've talked a lot about the skills gap and what companies need to do to get the right capacity and skills, and how experts need to to find the right opportunities. What are some takeaways, both from a company and expert side of things that they should take out of this conversation?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Like, for, I think, companies, they need to be very clear and set the requirements of what is it that they need to get done, right? And I think, in our last episode, we talked about the strategy and the objectives and what do you actually want to do. I think we've experienced that. We've met a lot of customers in our journey that you meet, they want to do it, but they actually don't know what they need to get done. Right.
Yeah.
So I think taking the time to really understand and figure out what is it that you want to do. If you need the advice about best practices, is being able to connect with an expert who's done it before in that industry, or has that experience and getting that advice. And I think that's been the biggest blocker for a lot of companies to maximize the investment, that they've been putting into these big technologies, right?
Yeah.
But if they just had that person that was there next to them, always that go-to person, that expert that really understands that technology or really understands industry, there is so much more value that we can create out there. And that's what, that is also one of the big reasons why, I decided to build the Balo platform is to allow more value to being created with the investments that are already out there. And all it requires is customers to be connected with top experts out there, and they're all out there.
No, that's awesome. What is Balo? What does Balo mean? Actually,
I get asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
The correct pronunciation is Balo and
Balo.
Baro.
Oh, Baro.
Baro.
Okay.
And in the Korean language, it means now, honest, and upright. So everything that we want the platform to do, we want people to be connected now. We want honest conversations, and we want upright members of the community providing that expertise. So it entailed everything.
That's awesome. This is such a cool name. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
No, thank you for asking.
So no, this has been an amazing conversation just to hear about obviously how the skills that customers need and the capacity and skills to actually deliver the work, but also, how we can solve some of the challenges for experts out there who are listening to actually be connected into the right opportunities. I know for my business, Future, that's going to be really important as I grow. So thanks, for having this conversation, jumping on and talking about this big gap. So thanks, Michael, for being here.
Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening to this episode. Let's not just prepare for the future, let's create it. Leaving a review helps others find the podcast. And if you want more information or want to get in touch, visit futurefuture.io and follow us at Evolution the Podcast.